I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please read the statement?
This is a meeting of the Township Council for Thursday, May 31st, 2018. Adequate notice of this meeting has been published and provided to the public and the press on January 5th, 2018, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Roll call.
Councilmember Ooms?
Here.
Councilmember Kadish?
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Here.
Councilmember Allberger?
Here.
Council President Murphy?
Here. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. First, we'll have public comment on current agenda items only. If there's anyone from the public that would like to step forward, your comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that has any comments on the agenda?
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Need to make a motion.
Motion open.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone? Hi.
I'm Mary Cummins from Pleasant Valley Lake, the board president, and I just would like to, the resolution for the repayment of our dam is on the agenda, and I'd like to thank everyone on the town council, Elka Yetter, and everybody in the tax assessors for helping us to complete this enormous project. When we formed the partnership with the township, gosh, like 20 years ago, easily, it really enabled us to complete the dam, repay it, and what we like to consider the prettiest lake in the community at large right now. So I'd like to thank all of you. I'm not sure if any of you were on the council at that point, but it was really a huge benefit to us, and I just wanted to thank you for that. So, thank you.
Thanks. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one else, may I have a motion to close to public?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have our minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the following minutes: the regular meeting minutes of May 14th, 2018, and the executive session minutes of May 14th, 2018?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadish?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt minutes.
Next, we have our consent agenda. Resolutions 18154 and 18155 authorize tax repayments. Resolution 18156, this authorizes the annual sale of our bands for the township. Resolution 18157, this resolution approves the completion of the special assessment for Pleasant Valley Lake. Resolution 18158, this resolution authorizes fireworks display at Tall Timbers. Resolution 18159, this authorizes the use of the New York Fire Training Facility for our firefighters. Resolution 18160, this authorizes the award of contracts for the SCBA PACs. Resolution 18161, authorizing the contribution from the Sussex County to the ambulance squads. Resolutions 18162 through 18164 authorize the award of contracts for township trucks and dump bodies, as well as fire apparatus and ambulance repair. Resolution 18165, this provides a salary increase for our non-union employees similar to those given to our union employees earlier in this year. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 18154 through 18165?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadish?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes, but I abstain from 158, 159, 160, and 164.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion
question.
carries with abstentions noted.
Before we go further, I just want to talk a question about 18161. Is this money going to go to our fund, or does it go right to the ambulance and fire?
It goes right to the ambulance.
Okay. And what's the history of this here? Was this just from the freeholders, or did they get a grant? Is this coming from their funds?
We get this every year.
Do you?
It's an annual thing.
Oh, I don't recall getting this from
I
last
don't know
year.
if there's always been a resolution.
Pardon me?
I don't know that there's always been a resolution for it, but as long as I've been in this position, I've always seen that.
Yeah, because I think this is the first time it's come to the council. Am I correct? I don't
No, I know
recall
it was
this.
on last year.
Pardon me?
I know it was on last
It
year.
was on last year? Yeah, I don't recall it. Okay, so it goes right to the squad.
It just lets us know that they're getting a contribution from the county.
Next, we have the 2017 annual audit. Our CFO, Yetter, do you have any comments?
No, but we have our auditor here.
Okay, if you'd like to step forward, please.
Good evening. Do a very quick presentation. The main purpose for me being here is just to let you know that you had a very good year for the audit. What an audit does is we assess your internal control structure, and then we test it to make sure it's functioning as described adequately. We also make sure all the balance sheet items can be substantiated, and there are certain statutory requirements of the state, mainly the bid law and the depositing within 48 hours, things of that nature. So your results of operations, your fund balance was up about $240,000 this past year, up to $1,843,000 as of 12/31/17. That's a good fund balance. It's a little on the light side. I know you're trying to build it back up. We were in closer to $3 million a number of years ago, and that's obviously fund balance is there's different varying philosophies of how much fund balance you should have and be sitting on. I know the rating agencies like you to have 15 to 35% of your budget as a fund balance to get a AAA rating. I think that's very excessive, but that's their rule. So you did build fund balance up this year, so it was a good year. The one note that you put into the financial statements, and again, the notes are your notes, was about the Mountain Creek bankruptcy and what potential effect that could have on your MUA, and then whatever rolls into hardships against your budget if that so happens. And you also already started paying in the 2018 $1 million emergency that you passed for the revaluation. So these are items that could impact your financial status going forward, but as of 12/31/17, you were in very good shape. Comments and recommendations, we only had the one, which is segregation of duties, which is almost a badge of honor. We do about 65 municipalities, and I think less than a handful of them do not have that recommendation. And usually you only get that recommendation when you hire enough people to spread those duties around. I should comment that your financial administration here is very strong, does a lot of their own work with the budget and preparing the financial statements. That's not usual. I know you might not have a point of reference for that, but us looking at all those, your financial administration has done a very good job over the years, and that starts with you at the top, all the policies that you put in, and it goes through everyone who deals with anything with finances. So again, you had a very good audit. That was the main message I wanted to give, and obviously answer any questions that you might have.
Any of the council members have any questions?
I have a couple of small ones. On B2 of 2, you mentioned there's an entry called storm recovery, and this year it went up $50,000. I was wondering what the basis of that is. Is that part of the FEMA?
No, that's our snow removal trust. They just renamed it Storm Recovery.
Oh, okay.
And we put money when we have enough appropriation reserves at the end of the year. If we know we're going to reach fund balance, we move some of that into storm recovery to cover the spikes of the bad snow years. But it can be used for any kind of storm, snow or like a hurricane.
In note 10, page 25, I realize that this is for last year, but shouldn't there be a proviso that no more than $5,000 be paid as a waiver benefit? Perhaps that could be added next year.
Okay, we will check that out for next year.
Page A11, 2 of 3, Health and Human Services functions. I was under the impression that we still pay benefits to the county for the employees that went there, or has that disbanded? So that's not listed, unless it's under other expenses.
The health insurance?
Yeah.
For the one county employee that retired?
Is it one? I thought we
Only
had
one that we
three.
pay currently, and that's the one
Oh,
that's
good.
retired, and that goes under our health insurance.
Okay.
As when the other two retire, then we would be paying for those two. Only percentage.
And the last question is, what are shelter fees? $6,000.
That's for the animal control for
okay.
their adoption pets and.
No, I just didn't know what it related to. Thank you.
Congratulations, you were in the top 5% who actually read the report.
Are there any other?
Well, it was a lot more interesting than this one that we have, which is
I
the
don't think-
MUA.
I've never had this called interesting, but thank you.
Are there any other council members that have any questions? Thank you very much.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
Thank you both.
Next, we have introduction, first reading.
You need to do the motion to adopt.
Oh, I'm sorry. May I have a motion to adopt Resolution 18166?
Motion?
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Ooms?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass Resolution 18166, and I'll ask the council at the end of the meeting to sign the acknowledgement.
Okay. Next, we have the introduction, first reading of a proposed ordinance, Ordinance 1819, the ordinance amending the salary ordinance for non-union employees. This establishes the salary ranges for the various non-union employees. It does not establish salaries. May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 1819 with a public hearing on June 11th, 2018?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms?
No.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce Ordinance 1819 with a public hearing on June 11th.
Thank you. Next, we have public comments.
Wait a second. When we spoke on the phone, I want to talk about this ordinance. I wanted this to be for discussion, nothing to vote on, just discussion, and then come back after our discussion with the salary ordinance. You agreed, yes, we're going to discuss it. We just needed something in front of us to go by.
No, what I
So-
said was I agreed we could discuss it, but it would be coming up for vote. And what we were doing
All right,
was
so
we were
let's-
calling administration and giving some of our
Well, this
recommendations.
was my recommendation, that we don't vote on it, that we worked on it as a group, and then came back and had a document drafted to vote on. So I'd like a little discussion here.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know what your suggestions were to Mr. Volker for the
I-
change in these. Not,
I already discussed them with you.
so,
And-
well, wait a second
know
here. I'm
what?
starting with Mr. Allberger, and I'd like to hear everybody's input. That's what a discussion is, and that's how you team together to come up with a mutual consensus. So I would like to know. Maybe I'm wrong with my thoughts, so I would just like to know
Well,
what
actually,
everybody's suggestion
but what are
was.
but what are your thoughts? And I'm not sure.
No,
I know
no,
I
am
called you.
asking-
I called and asked you
I
if
am
you
asking
discussed them.
Yeah, but Gene, this has nothing to do with
We
you right
voted, and
now.
actually
I'm
you don't-
asking my fellow council members what their suggestions
And then
were.
what we'll do is we already voted. What we'll do is during council comments, you can bring that up.
No, because
we're
I get
moving on to
accused of
public
not
comment.
sticking to comments. I want to have a discussion here. We're a council as a group.
But
I'm
we already
asking my-
voted on the item.
I'm asking for my fellow council members. I would like a
feel free to answer.
discussion.
My suggestion to the management was those positions that we currently don't have anybody in right now, to delete them. You know, hopefully if the economy gets better and we can put people back in where we used to, then that can be revisited. Some of the salaries were lowered, some had to be raised, so we stay within a 2% cap if raises are given. So they had to be expanded and moved on from there.
Okay, Mr.
I just wanted to know how many people it affected, how many got raises, how many didn't. I just wanted just more information, that's all.
So you guys were all good with the
Yeah.
ranges. Jean, would you share what you needed to?
And I did share with you when I called you. However, I just wanted to make that clear. However, within the ranges. I thought that some of them needed to be pulled back and some of them needed to be adjusted.
So
I didn't-
okay.
I didn't think that a lot of them, there were some that were too close together within the proximities.
Okay, so did they change the ones that you suggested?
As far as I know, that they did take some of my recommendations, yes.
Okay. Dan?
As far as I was concerned, this is a good plan, and it is a plan, and I didn't see much that I wanted to have any input on. It's the mayor's prerogative to produce a budget, and I felt that a lot of these entries just fell within what is proposed for the next 5 years, or whatever years that it is. I recommended that the title of chief of police be lowered, and that was done. I think there were many changes that the administration was privy to, and they really took action and listened to us.
Okay. All right, so I'm just curious, because all my suggestions were never taken. I don't think there should be a raise on stipends. Either the stipend should be what it is and raised to a set price, but not a stipend go up percentage-wise.
Well,
So
my
that's-
feeling was, in this form of government, that this was a good plan. In other forms of government, I would think that we then have the opportunity to nitpick, and that's the way I felt about it. This is a unique and special form of government. It gives the executive powers to the mayor.
Yeah, but we have to vote on it, so if you didn't agree with something, I mean, I'm not saying anything about the way you feel about it, but
That's
if you
my
don't
point.
agree on it,
My agreement
We
isn't
should-
important.
it isn't important, or it is?
It is not.
It is not important. Okay.
My agreement on the budget is important.
Okay. Because I have some issues here with some of these, that they should be lower, some of these top salaries. To have somebody almost double as your high end, or a third, or even a half, 50% of the high end is too high.
Councilmember
And
Ohms,
if
but these
they're
are ranges.
If they're, right, but if the range is there, it can be given.
It cannot be given without a council vote.
Right, but this is, in my mind, the checks and balances, it shouldn't come to the council because there should be a range that's stuck to, and if you're giving big raises, it still can occur because your council can put it through. For many various reasons, it could go through.
They can, but there's a budget, there's a salary range ordinance, and then there's a resolution. There's your checks and balances.
No, I don't.
So, well, we already
why
voted.
have a top of a range if you're saying if everything has to come to a vote? Why even have a range then?
Because we're required to have it. We've already gone through this a few
Yeah.
years ago.
Are you talking to me about that?
Yeah.
No, I never talked about that.
No, I'm saying we're required to have ranges.
Well, to me, some of the ranges are too high, and what I'm proposing is reasonable.
Okay, but we already voted, and we voted, and it was 4-1.
Well, I was hoping we were going to have, because, again, I wanted to discuss it and then
Second
draw
reading.
up a document. Excuse me, Dan?
You'll have more discussion at the second reading.
Well, if there's no discussion on the first reading, it's never going to change for the second. And that's the way I think it should have been done. This is our biggest ticket item in this town, is our salaries. I don't, not begrudging anybody a raise or something they deserve and eliminate. It's just the ranges.
Actually,
Because they're there, they can be given, and a council can give them out. And
The-
so I don't think the council should ever even have the opportunity to do an outrageous increase.
well, obviously,
And I
the
wanna
council,
just-
the council feels different.
All right, well, I'm just stating my
No, and I'm-
opinion
The council
here.
feels
So
different.
let
No,
me
but I'm
ask
saying
you,
the council
I have a question.
voted
I'm looking
on
at
the
this
ranges.
as everything is always a 2% raise.
Yeah.
We give out no more. I mean, when I was working here, I wish they sure had given out the 50% that some people say. That would be wonderful. But it's all based on a 2%. You have people that are at the top of the range, you have to have the leeway for them to be able to have a raise.
I
I
understand.
mean, I know
You're
we have
right.
a responsibility
You're
to the taxpayers, we all are, but we still have a responsibility to our employees. I mean, I've gone without a raise at certain times. That's one of the things. We've given back. We didn't have a raise a year. And then we try to catch up. But, I mean, you have to have the salary guide here. I mean, you're covering salaries, ordinances that were from 14 that haven't been addressed. Stuff was lowered. I have highlighted what I saw was lowered. So it's within the range. It's the 2%. Just because the salary is up there doesn't mean it's going to be given. It always doesn't mean it's going to be given.
I
You have
agree.
somebody that's coming in, you say Elko was going to leave, and somebody came in, between their experience, their education, you wanted to bring them up. Whereas one of the secretaries, one of the computer typists was leaving, you're starting somebody, you're going now, you've lowered some of the salaries, now you're going down on the other end. It's all checks and balances. Just because it's there doesn't mean we're going to give it. That's just, I mean,
Right, but
you can turn around and
I
say,
agree.
why do we even have this? Every time a salary comes up every year, let's have a vote on it. We shouldn't have to do that.
Well, I think 5 years is a little excessive also.
There's nothing
Fran.
that says 5 years. It was a proposed
they're
five-year
proposed
plan, but
for
there's nothing here
plan.
that says there's a time limit in the ordinance.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
So I don't know where the
top
5 years-
range, I agree.
Because there were 4 salaries in the 5-year proposed that were actually over. So that has to be addressed, but that's why there's no time limit on this. This is just a range, and God help those that serve the next round. They'll have to take care of it when they have to be bumped up again. So I don't know what the,
Well, the range should cover the 2% increase.
Yeah.
I'm not against the 2% increase. I'm not opposed even, because some of these are 5 years out. It's covering their salaries for 5 years, but yet the range is even higher. So I contend that if our employees are all credentialed, which they are, and they're all at the top of their game, why is the range higher than what they would be making if we've left a person that's fully credentialed and is,
It doesn't mean they'll get an
qualified,
increase,
that the range is even higher from their salary when they leave?
because some of them will get increases and some of them may not. It all depends. It doesn't mean that every one of the employees, only the 4 statutory employees must get a raise. But all of the union employees have already received their raises. These are for the
Give
non-union.
everybody a raise. It
These are-
doesn't matter.
These are for the non-union.
Right.
But the 4 statutory must get a raise. So you're
I'm
actually.
not denying
No,
raises.
but
I'm
I'm
not
just.
denying raises.
I'm just addressing maybe some of the top tiers of the pays. We cannot keep an increase from them as long as the unions
No
get.
one's talking about keeping an increase
But
from
I'm just
anybody.
addressing some of these top ranges, too.
Yeah, but I feel they shouldn't be higher than the person after 5 years of working here. If they're going to make, say, for example, that they're at 100,000, and in 5 years, say they're up to 105 in 5 years, and that the range covers up to 105 because they're going to be up to 105. So why should the range now exceed that by $20,000?
Well, in 5 years,
So-
whenever that is.
No, that would be 10 years. So
Well-
why should it be higher? That's all
It's-
I'm saying. And I,
Anyway,
again, don't
I-
believe stipends should have raises on each year. They should either be changed or not.
Thank you.
So that is my, but I want to ask a question on this. How many hours is the work week? Because I don't know. How many hours is the actual work week?
35.
It's 35 hours? So again, these based are on 35-hour work week.
Which is what I brought up last
The
time.
range is quite high on some of them.
So we'll move on to public comment. This is limited to 3 minutes on any topic. Is there anyone from the public that would?
motion to open it.
May I have a motion and a second? All in favor?
No.
Aye. Is there anyone that would like to make any comments to the council? Please step forward.
Hi, Scott Guy, Salisbury Place. More of a question than anything else, too. I believe the council approved a bond for repaving of some roads, including Berry Drive North up in our community some time ago. Is that incorrect? Am I correct on that? Does anybody have any idea when it's going to be done at all? I have people asking me about it, complaining about the roadway there.
Maybe we can have administration get back to you on that, if you could just check on the paving timeline.
There were some improvements that needed to be made in that one section where they kind of stopped.
Yeah, part of it was done. The other part, there's
Correct,
calling me and
correct.
complaining.
But there were some road improvements that needed to be done, I believe, with catch basins prior to them coming back to pave. So that's why they stopped it. I have to check on the timeline of when that will be.
Okay. You can let me know, just so I can tell them.
They have done a purchase order for the catch basin repair, so they're going to be starting work on that if they haven't already.
Okay. I guess that's that big sinkhole that's there now.
Somewhere in that spot that
Coned
they
off
didn't
area.
pave, and then our engineer needs to finish up his end of it to get it started.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public?
Sally Rinker, Vernon. First of all, I want to thank Councilwoman Ohms for constantly trying to discuss before vote, which is how checks and balances are arrived at. But I did come here tonight to speak about the illegal dumping of dirt in our town. And I'm sorry the mayor's absent tonight. Vernon's best attributes are our natural resources and recreational opportunities. We need to do everything to protect our community. When I discovered what appeared to me to be potential illegal filling of a property in Settlers Notch, I came to this administration 2 years ago. Now there are 6 locations that I know of, including the infamous Silver Spruce Drive location, that have had illegal dumping and filling of dirt by caravans of trucks entering our town from faraway places. I believe if enough effort was made 2 years ago to put a stop to the dumping in our town, we might not still be talking about it today. Only recently, on April 9th, 2018, you passed an ordinance to address soil fill replacement. The dirt dealers making a profit dumping in Vernon could care less about rules, and apparently the dumping has continued. On May 21st, just a few weeks ago, a dump truck from Brooklyn, New York came crashing down Route 515, overturned, hitting several cars. Where was this dirt going? To a residential property where I live in High Ridge. There's no logical reason it is economically feasible to bring a load of soil from Brooklyn, New York to Vernon, New Jersey. In my opinion, that dirt and all the dirt coming here from out of state and faraway places is suspect. In fact, didn't the mayor himself state that a resident followed a loaded truck of dirt from a gas station in Warren County that came to Vernon? Gas station dirt. High Ridge is a pristine major subdivision in which the lots back up to wetlands. That is the case at number 1 Indian Trail, where the truck from Brooklyn was going. Vernon sits on the largest underground pure water aquifer in the state of New Jersey. Where has Vernon's Environmental Commission been on this issue? With nearly 10 attorneys on our payroll, why hasn't one of them come up with a solution? It is not acceptable to blame the lack of sufficient response from DEP or the county. This is our town, and it's our problem. Forget the blame game, which I would tell the mayor if he was here, and the excuses. We need results, and the pollution of our town must stop now. In my opinion, we need a huge public awareness campaign. Use some of the money in the budget for the Environmental Commission and Beautification Committee to place large public awareness ads in the newspapers. Create an informational piece to put into the tax bills when they get mailed out. And ask people to report what they see. Educate those who know nothing about ordinances, which unfortunately are plenty, that when they accept fill dirt for their properties, they are responsible for following the requirements and getting permits. I would like to believe my neighbor in High Ridge was unaware. Nevertheless, we as a community in High Ridge deserve to know that that fill is clean fill. We want it tested, and we want it removed if it's not clean. Frankly, I would be gladly surprised if dirt coming all the way from Brooklyn was clean dirt. We have plenty of our own right here in Sussex County. This administration needs to do whatever it takes to put an end now, all right? Because now, there are people here tonight, it's in our backyard, okay? It's got to end now. Mr. Zielinski, you're our attorney. Please use whatever wherewithal you have to help this town find a solution to this, because our town is being polluted for years now. It's got to stop. This threatens our health and it threatens our property values, and it's got to stop now.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that has any comments?
Thanks, Alan.
You're welcome.
My name is Norman Hadeland. I live 2 doors down from where the dumping happened. I'm very concerned about it. I have a well that is 600 feet deep. And if there's contaminated dirt there, I can't go very much deeper than that to get clean water. I think Sally is right that I think it should be tested. And if it is contaminated, it should be removed. I don't think that the homeowner is responsible. I think he was just looking for fill to fill in his backyard. But I think whoever supplied it, either the landscaper or whoever supplied it, bringing dirt from Brooklyn, you don't do that. It's like, if you want to bring in fill, you bring in fill, but you have to bring clean fill in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public? Is there anyone else?
Greg White, also High Ridge. I'd be very interested to know what happened to the dirt that fell on the street when the truck overturned. Has that been looked at? If it hasn't been looked at, where did it go? I'd be interested to know, based on the ordinance that you passed last month, saying that there were fines and possible imprisonment for not having the correct paperwork to do fill on your property, what has happened based on those potential ramifications for having done what was done at One Indian Trail? Where are we, please?
But I believe that they were ordered to clean up that dirt when it did what was in the street.
But where did that go?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying I believe that they were ordered to clean it up. But the police department.
No, I understand that the dirt's not going to be left in the street, but I'd like to know what happened to it. Has it been looked at?
Yeah.
I mean, if you know what's coming from Brooklyn, there should be a red flag in somebody's mind that this should be looked at before we just sweep it away somewhere.
Or did somebody take a sample when it overturned?
Yeah.
Like take a little
the last thing,
teaspoon
I
and
have
take
a very
sample.
level piece of property, and I had to have a silt fence up, and the fellow from the county, I guess it was on me every single day when I built the house 20 years ago. Where's your silt fence? Where's your silt fence? Well, you've got wetlands behind number one, and they've put in a mountain of dirt that has no place to go with the rain other than the wetlands. I mean, how does...
Excuse me, it's difficult to hear the speaker if you're talking.
It would be helpful to know that there's at least some procedure in place that authorities are going to be involved in making sure that whatever needs to be done with that property, the way it's currently situated with the dirt, is going to be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what is the next step for this?
Excuse me, Sandy. It's public comment.
I don't think they mind me asking questions.
No, but
about
you're
the
asking them what's the
situation.
next step. You're not asking the audience. Is there? Yes, please.
I just heard through the grapevine, I'm not really
Your name for the record?
Michelle Schaffer. I live in High Ridge. The house that Sally was just talking about is 2 houses away from my home. I'm touching on another subject right now, the subject of the gentleman that has the $75,000 fine. I was told he has piles of dirt that are bigger than houses all over the place. And they can be contaminated also, so that's a concern. I mean, I was told this, I'm not sure about it, but I just heard it. And I heard he didn't pay his fine. I heard he's continually doing it still. I don't know if Sally knows anything about that, but I don't know. That's what I've been told, so. And it could be huge, huge piles, like in the Pine Island area, that could be like, contaminated and loaded with chemicals. So it's a big problem.
Is there anyone else from the public that have any comments?
I heard he's still doing that, too.
Hi, I'm Donna Smith. I live right next to the house where this...
Excuse me, I can't hear the speaker to record their name.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat yourself?
I'm Donna Smith. I live at 44 Palomino, which is right next to the property where this fill has taken place. He's raised his backyard about 6 to 8 feet higher than mine, okay, in the back there. And that side of the property is where my septic is. And I've had problems with water running off that property before, and the town has come and addressed it, because the water from that property sat on my septic field. Okay, so I'm very, very concerned about this, and I really, really think it needs to be tested and tested now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one else, may I have a motion to close to public?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What I would like to do is actually, we have our zoning officer here this evening, Allison LaRocca. And what I would like to do is ask Allison if you could just step forward for a moment. And the reason I asked Allison is Allison has been dealing with these issues. And just so everyone's aware, Mr. DeStassi that lives on Silver Spruce, he began with this in 2009. And going back to minutes of 2009, he started with the things that were going on in his neighborhood over there. So that's how long it's been an issue in town. So this is nothing new. He has been repeatedly working, calling the DEP. They have been going out there. They haven't been really been doing anything. What's happened is soil conservation has been out there. I myself, many of the residents there have sat through nights of court. Allison is here all the time. I mean, one night I think they went beyond 10 o'clock. This gentleman has been in court. It ends up being in the court system to some degree. He's fined, he's given stop work orders, and he just keeps walking right out that door. But anyway, so if Allison could possibly just address for the residents of High Ridge, just in the latter part of what happened.
So we did find out about the soils. We did go up and look, and we did call the homeowner and had everything stop immediately. He came down, and he's doing all his soil permits and all his paperwork. He actually gave me analytical paperwork on what was already dumped on his property, and it's like 18 pages, and I have no idea what it means.
Where does that come from, by the way?
He says that it came from the trucking company that actually brought the soils in.
So should we trust that? We need to do our own test, right?
I don't know.
Isn't that in the new ordinance? I saw that, soil testing in the new ordinance.
Well, yes, and...
Maybe if you could finish what you're saying.
Yeah,
so some of the questions will be answered.
Yeah. He's going to bring down all of his paperwork. I've spoken to him already. We're going to do a soil ordinance. It is under 500 cubic yards. He knows how many trucks was in there. I can't really give you many answers other than we're working on it. It's not being ignored. We are doing something. And, we do believe that
I know, Allison. I know you work hard and you're very busy.
But that's one of our main things. And as for, Silver Spruce has gotten 6 summonses, all in regards to the soil ordinance, and his next court date is June, I think, 12th. It's a Tuesday. He's gotten 4 summonses for property maintenance and other things from zoning, so we're bringing him back into court. So, we're keeping at him.
Is he still doing it, though?
No, because now the Vernon police are stopping the trucks at the roads and turning them away. The Vernon police are now enforcing the stop work order, which is an amazing thing.
Somebody told me in our development that he was still doing it.
Yeah.
I followed him in last week into the driveway there. But today I did see a cop chasing a truck, so maybe that occurred today, but not of us last week.
You're saying he is still doing that?
As of last week, I followed a truck into there.
What day last week?
When I called you, remember? I said I saw the cops all on the road, but the trucks were going in. I followed one right into the driveway.
Was it full?
Well, he was going in, I'm assuming it was
Stopping all
full.
the full trucks. So-
Well, but anyway, today I saw a cop chasing one of those trucks, so,
And-
on my way to work. When I go in, they're all lined up going in.
And the problem is that the police department will have to pay overtime in order for them to really be out there, because you can't, other than sitting at the road and just stopping the trucks, there's not much else they can do because they cannot stop them.
So just so you
Allison,
guys
I have a
know,
question.
Everybody's
We know
working
you're
at
doing
this.
everything
We
you
all
can.
want this to stop.
Let me ask
Everyone,
you
the
this.
mayor.
The 500 cubic yards and under, there's no test required by the town?
It's not that there's no test, it's that it's going to go to the engineer, it's going to be looked at, and he handed me analyticals for the soil.
Yeah, but we're not gonna-
Now, I
we're not
have
gonna
to get
accept
somebody
that
to
in
read
our
those
neighborhood.
analyticals. And I hear you.
It's got to be an outside, unbiased opinion. We need to have our own test on our
Hey,
side.
we should find out if
Well, that
there's.
soil can stay there, because this isn't going to be the end of it. And I'm not, I'm
No,
just-
I hear
I'm
you,
just
and I get
saying.
it. You're right.
This is, we pay some of the highest taxes in this town, in that subdivision, and we're not going to stand for it. It happened, but now it must be taken care of properly. And we're not going to take any paperwork from the trucking company that brought it here. That's ridiculous. So, and here's another question I have. Who determines how many cubic yards? He made that yard twice as big. I know what 500 cubic yards is like, and I'm telling you there's more than 500 cubic yards there.
And I have to go by what the homeowner tells me the amount of trucks and what was
We can't go
seen.
by that, Allison.
How do
Okay.
you know? I don't have cameras in front of everyone's houses. How do you
Excuse
know?
me, Allison? Allison, if you could just wrap it up, because it's not.
Wait, I have some questions
Yeah,
for
no.
Ms. LaRocca.
But I'm just saying is, I wanted Allison to come up to be able to explain that she's been in contact, she was in contact with the homeowner immediately,
We already know that.
And we're
Okay.
going to get his paperwork.
Okay, but what happens is, and as far as the DEP, I know that even Senator Orho sent letters to the DEP. We have letters going back to 2014 where letters were sent for the dumping. And the DEP has been out there, and what have they done?
Nothing.
They've done nothing.
They need to take his license
They,
from
they,
him. That's what
the
they need to do.
DEP has done nothing. So when people are saying that the DEP, that it is the mayor, there's only so many avenues that the town and resources that we can take, because what's happening is he has a right to enter his property. It's just that now he's not being granted the right to enter with a truck. But we as taxpayers are now forced to pay for police to sit there. But also, again, if he's not going to that site, now it's like, how many entrances do you have in Vernon? For Pete's sake, they came down Breakneck Road. But so the whole issue is how many gatekeepers do you have in town to keep the trucks from coming in? And the mayor has been working. He has been working on press releases. He has been advising the public. So, and
Wait, don't go
and
away.
excuse me.
Wait,
Why
Allison.
did the mayor come tonight if he knew we were coming to talk?
Allison, wait. I have questions for you. Please come back.
Don't put her on the
Wait,
hotbed.
Just please come back. Yes, I have a question. If this gentleman's running a commercial business in a residential zone, isn't that a violation of some sort? I haven't heard that spoken
Well,
about.
we have commercial trucks in a residential zone, but is he running a business? We just found the first ad for this a week ago. He doesn't have signs out. Businesses having people come and go, getting your hair cut, or, things like
Buying
that.
dirt.
So,
or dumping dirt. To me, that's
well,
a business. He's taking a
fined
collection,
$75,000
just like a medical waste business. If you're disposing of medical waste for a hospital, that's a commercial business. What it goes from here to there is something else, but the person receiving it is a business. He's getting paid. So to me, he's conducting commercial business in a residential zone, and that should again be another
we will absolutely look into that.
thing that needs to be looked
Thank you.
into.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if I can.
But if you'd like to, we'll just open it to the public for a short.
States, Greg White again, has a topographical map that the state would have had to have agreed to based on there being wetlands where the development encroaches. So now an individual who has a property that borders the wetlands, how do you just decide I'm going to raise my property 8 feet higher than the topographical map that the state agreed to for being able to build next to a wetland. I just don't understand how that can be allowed to happen.
Because he didn't get any permit or anything. He just went ahead and did it.
And that's,
But then if the ordinance is $2,000 fines for every day that the infraction exists, or 90 days worth of jail, that should be happening.
well, and what's happened is the gentleman has applied for his permit with the zoning office, so they're addressing this right
Okay,
now.
but the zoning office then would also be looking at how high the dirt is
That would have to be-
relative to the topographic.
That would
map
have
that
to be addressed with the zoning office.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay. Sarah, did you have a question?
Norman Adeline, again. This particular homeowner, I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, did exactly the same thing. I don't know if he got the dirt from the same place. But, I've been in Vernon for 31 years now, and we've already gone through the radon from Montclair, Bologna, and everything else. So I think this is something that is a serious issue that we have in town here.
Yeah.
That
I mean, we all live
need
in
to look
Vernon.
into.
I have kids that go to Vernon. I don't want contaminated soil here.
No,
Nobody does.
You're absolutely right.
I mean, my in-laws pulled a 250-gallon tank out of the ground, and they literally wanted to raise their foundation, and it cost them thousands and thousands
That's
of dollars.
absolutely right, absolutely
Where's the
right.
justice?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you find someone $75,000, and the next day he's dumping again.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He was,
I mean, like you said, I mean, jail time. I mean, that's how you stop someone like that.
Yeah.
and, that, so like I said, I mean, it's been, unfortunately, been going on, and Mr. DeStassi, who lives on Silver Spruce, he's probably been the most vocal, calling everyone. He has records going back, like I said, to 2009 with this occurring. And it's really, I have to say, up until now. And we found other sites in town. I mean, so it's not that, that the administration is not aware. They're aware because now people are coming forward.
But it's amazing to me that, like, the DEP, when I built my house over 20 years ago, I had to watch out for wetlands and everything else, soil conservation, and this guy is allowed to dump tens of thousands of yards of dirt all over town?
It's aggravating. It really is.
And actually, if you'd like, I mean, we could provide you with Senator Orojo's information. If you would send a letter to him, supporting this, because like I said, the mayor did send him a letter, and he did send a letter off to the acting commissioner of the NJDEP on May 23rd, and it went from, Senator Orojo, Parker Space, and Hal Wirtz from our assemblyman.
Okay.
So they are listening, and, if this...
We can post on our website.
That was not a very strong letter, though, I will add that.
Well-
I mean, it was just, okay, we'll contact them.
But the
It
whole...
wasn't very strong, I didn't think.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, like I said, if you'd like, if you're here after the meeting, we can make copies or just give you the information. I could ask our clerk to give you the information.
Right. I think Sally brought up a good point. I think that the soil should be tested to see what's in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Not just what's been dumped now, but what was dumped last year or the year before.
Well, like I said, I know that our zoning office has been in communication with the owner at that property.
Okay.
So it's not something that we could really discuss as to the ongoings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, all right, so we'll move on. Next, we have a mayor's report. Is there a mayor's report, Chuck?
There's not.
There's not.
I have some questions. May I ask some questions, Mr. Volker? I know you're stepping in for the mayor. You're his designee. I have some questions. Been hearing, or people have speaking to me, and because we have motorcycles and we don't like to go out on the bike until the street sweepers go through.
Excuse me.
Are they going out? Because people are telling me they haven't seen a street sweeper at all, and I am also concerned about that because we don't want to go out until that gravel is picked up.
There's a schedule that they've been working on. Obviously, they got a later start this year than they do normally because of the amount of snow that we had in late March. But I can find out, where they are with that. But I know that they are.
They are out and about?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Is
because
there
the
a
people I've
particular
spoke
road
to.
that you're looking for me to find out?
Well,
for?
mine is a county road,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, some of the.
Yeah, just call me, let
Inside.
me know which streets you're looking for.
I will.
I'll find out when it's going to be on the schedule.
Okay, great.
Right.
Okay. Wait, one more question.
Sure.
No, I'll wait for council comment.
Okay.
Thank you, though, for answering that.
No problem.
Council comments. Councilmember Wahlberger?
I handed to Dan tonight a folder. I was approached. Seems to be a lot of folks that are interested, and I know this was one of Dan's projects from earlier in the year about a chicken ordinance for hens. So hopefully we can get together. If you want help with it, Dan, I'm willing to help you. And it seems like there's a lot of input that they want to. I mean, they had quite a little folder of homework that they researched on other town ordinances and whatnot to see if we can get something on the books. So I'd like to get that working on. So that's it for me.
Whatever happened to the electric fence thing with the bees?
Excuse me, Sandy?
I'm talking,
I know,
and
but
I can
we're
talk
in
whenever I
council
want. It's in
comments.
relationship to this.
I know, but we're in council comments. Could you just wait? It's not a
Till the end
discussion.
and ask him?
Yes.
All right, whatever.
Please.
No comments.
Councilmember Kadish.
No comment.
Okay. Councilmember
Mr.
Holmes.
Auberger and the rest of the council. So
Hello
thank you for answering my questions when I wanted to speak about the salary. I appreciate that. Thank you. Whatever happened to the bees and the wiring around the bees, because that goes along with the chicken issue. So until we address that, I don't think we should be addressing chickens. But I agree on addressing the chickens.
Right.
But whatever happened to that electronic fence issue?
And the
Anybody know?
The electronic fence issue is something that needs to be addressed. I know that at the state level, there was something happened with the bees. They were addressing something else with the bees. There was something else going on. But the electric ordinance, the fencing, can be addressed, and that was one of the ideas, is to address it at the same time as the chicken ordinance, because they pretty much go hand in hand.
Okay, all right, and that's why I was responding to him when we were talking, because it goes hand in hand. But at any rate, is it my turn now?
Yes.
Okay. So, just a few things. First thing, I would like to see the salary census posted on the website. I think many towns post municipal employee salaries on the website, and I think that should be done for all transparency. So I think that's something that should be considered. Also, let's see here. I also asked for some salaries to be reduced by 5,000 or 10,000, the ranges, but mine were never reduced. So I'm really curious of why some were and some weren't. And that's all I've got to say. We spent a lot of time. Chuck, you were very nice. We spoke for a very long time, but nothing. So that's just my comment, and that's all I've got to
There were
say
a number
about it.
that were reduced.
Pardon me?
There were a number that were
But not the ones I asked for. I mean, I was specific with some of them, too, and they didn't, just 5,000, but others got reduced. So I'm surprised. But at any rate, that's all I've got to say. Carry on.
Along with the ordinances, in 2015, we had a property maintenance ordinance that we were working on. It ended up getting tabled. We ended up having a work session, and nothing's happened with it. And I'd actually like to see, I've asked the clerk if she could get some information to our attorney about that, so we could actually work on the property maintenance, because now that we have the vacant home ordinance, the property maintenance, if you've seen now some of the vacant homes with their tall grass, it's a little difficult to enforce that without that ordinance. One of the other things we may be doing or looking at is our vacant property ordinance is including commercial into that. So that's something to think about, because the commercial is not in it as of this moment. So we started with the homes, and I think there were probably about 100 letters that went out, and I think they've started paying their registration fees on the homes.
How many people paid? Lauren, do you know how many people paid registration fees?
We get checks every day. No, majority of the payments have been coming from the banks.
Did you get 50, 25, 10? How many would you think?
It depends on the day. Some days we get 15, 20.
I think she means cumulative.
As a
I can't
cumulative.
tell you off the top of my head. I don't know off the top of my head how many checks we got. Some days we get quite a few, and some days we just get one or two.
Okay, so maybe you could send me that. I would like to know the total amount, since we, 45 days after the ordinance went into effect, how many we got back.
Well, they have to provide us with a list of
Pardon
the
me?
property. First, before we could collect money, the zoning officer had to go out and go along the ordinance and make the determination what properties were
Right.
vacant, and then provide the list to us, and then we sent the letters out. So it
Right,
hasn't
and
been
so you're
full-
saying you got checks in for the
We've gotten
fee?
checks in, yes.
Yeah, so how many did you get? That's all I'm asking. How many checks did you receive?
And that's, how long has it been, about 2 weeks?
Yeah, about 2 weeks, we started receiving the check.
Yeah, so I'm just curious if you would send that to me. I would like that to hear.
When I close the month, when I close the month and you get your month-end report, that line will be in there for vacant property fees, so you'll be able to see how much.
Okay, well, I still want to know how many people sent checks in, yeah. That's all I'm asking is that. But that would be
That'll
great.
also
Be the
you'll see
total
it
amount.
monthly Going forward.
The what?
You'll see it monthly going forward.
Okay,
in your
but the amount, not how many,
No,
right?
it's just the total amount.
In dollar-wise? Yes,
You would
see, I want to
divide the
know
fee by the
the
total.
amount of, pardon?
Divide the fee by the total to get the number sent in that much.
Just send me the amount, that's all I want. I got 10 checks altogether, that's all I want to know.
So anyway, Monday was the Memorial Day Parade. Many of us did attend it in one way or another, and it was very nice to see the turnout. The weather was great for having to be outside. At least it was not 90 degrees. So anyway, other than that, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.